All right, let's talk about the law of detachment and how you can utilize it in your life today. And I'm going to let you know that the law of detachment originally comes from Hinduism in Bhagavad Gita. And it says basically that you're supposed to live your life, you are supposed to care, but detach yourself from outcomes. Now, we see this again later in Buddhism, where it says that the root of all suffering comes from desire. And when I first heard about this concept, I was like, yeah, but I desire to do X and Y and Z, and I wanted to accomplish these things in my life. So let's roll it back a little bit so that you can utilize the law of detachment in a healthy way in your life and really understand this concept without reading that and being like, well, I'm already there. I don't care about anything, because that's spiritual bypassing and borderlines, in some cases, depression, where people are like, well, nothing matters anyway. I'm not going to do it. That is not what we're talking about here. So let's break it down. The idea of the law of detachment is releasing from the outcomes. You're supposed to care very deeply. In fact, some people are meant to incarnate and experience certain things. I really want to get married. I really want to have kids. I really want to buy a house. Yes, you're entitled and you're supposed to, at some point, desire certain things. You shouldn't feel guilty about that desire. But what you should do, and this is where like Amuna comes in Judaism, is having the faith that you can desire things, you can set yourself up for success, but if it doesn't happen, you're not going to fall into despair. You're not going to demand that reality meets your expectations for these things. Now, when you take that a step further, there are spiritually elevated people who completely detach, who realize that this is a game, the Matrix, that none of this is real. And so therefore, they get to a point where they're like, I really don't crave anything. I've dissolved my ego. But I want to tell you that some of the posts I've made about, a dark night of the soul phase and ego death, a lot of times people think that they're in this phase and they're not. They've given up, they haven't done the inner work, and it really is spiritual bypassing. It's a very fine line to work to those higher levels of detachment versus saying, I'm frustrated, I didn't get what I want, nothing in my life has worked out, and therefore I'm just experiencing the law of detachment. That is not what this is about, okay? You really have to work through the inner chambers of your life and your ego and your understanding of what it means to want something, to desire something, and to prepare yourself for it, but to not expect it, and to keep that ebb and flow of life to achieve your goals. If you like this sort of content, I'm a practical mystic where I bridge the woo with reality so that you can better your life, taking ancient wisdom into modern problem solving. Anyway, I'm going to expand this class in my school. The link is in my bio. Let me know if you have questions and we'll talk about it.